I love politics. I love intrigue. I wanted to get into politics when I was really young, and I didn't, and I kind of regret it. Maybe, kind of. More on that later, I guess. It's really frustrating when you see someone living the life that you wish you had, whether it's social media or otherwise. But it can be oh so sweet to watch as it falls apart. That was my experience while watching this week's Quibi documentary, Run This City. Hey everybody, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of the Everyman Movie Review. As you know from the past couple episodes, we are doing a little special run of episodes where I'm going to be talking about Quibi series, and Quibi of course stands for Quick Bites, and these reviews are going to be just like that, quick bites. In and out, we're going to talk a little bit about the show. I'm going to give you a little bit about my thoughts on it, and then I'll give you my rating and whether or not you should spend your time checking it out and your money on the platform as a whole. This week we're talking about Run This City, which is a documentary about Jasiel Correia, who is the youngest person to be elected the mayor of Falls River, Massachusetts. And obviously, this is slightly different fare. I've been talking a lot about these scripted dramas and comedies. This is a documentary, but it's also in that same Quibi style. 10 to 12 episodes of 10 to 12 minutes. Not a lot of pleasantries on this one. This is a documentary that was done by Brett Hodge, and he basically followed around Jasiel Correia during his short-ish run as Falls River mayor. And I say short-ish because he held on to his mayorship longer than many thought that he would, but eventually he had to give it up, and he had to do so before the election that would have replaced him in the normal course. But Falls River, Massachusetts is not a small town. It's a small city, I guess. It's got a pretty sizable population. It's in the Northeast, obviously, so small town can mean a lot of different things in that area. Small city can mean a lot of different things, but it was enough of a population that tens of thousands of votes are needed to win the mayorship, and Jasiel won that seat. He not only won it, but he won it from an incumbent. Someone was sitting there running for re-election, and he beat them. Now, over the course of the documentary, they talk about how he did that, and maybe he did a little dirty pool to get there, but he won it in the end. But the documentary isn't just about his rise and ascendancy to being a mayor, although they do take several episodes to talk about how he just kind of appeared on the scene quickly, and then he was on the council, and he was only on the council because of this crazy thing that happened, and then he started talking a lot of crap about the mayor, and then mayor's race happened, and boom, he's in the mayorship. And I say dirty pool, but really when it comes to politics, all's fair, right? All's fair in love, war, and politics. But the old mayor, the one that was ousted, he didn't have negative things to say, I guess, but he did have some choice words for him during the documentary. But his appearance on the scene wasn't just weird when it came to politics. He was a businessman in charge of some kind of startup, and what they said they did was very clear. What they actually did was not as clear. But what we did know is that this young guy, this 22, 23-year-old guy, was living the life of a startup entrepreneur. He was flashy with his money, and he was doing a lot of big stuff, and he talked really a big game about how much change he was going to bring and how everything was better since he took over. But then when people started to actually do the math on it, they realized that maybe they weren't. And that was the beginning of the end for his mayorship. They tried to recall him, and now I'm in California, so I know a little bit about recalls. They're a little more prevalent here and in the West than they are out East. But essentially a recall is when if you get enough voters together to say, hey, we want a special election to maybe replace the mayor, then you have a recall election. And there's always two questions on the recall ballot. Do we recall or do we not? And once that vote is completed, either the person that was mayor remains mayor or they don't. If the don't passes, then they look at the second question, which is who will we replace that person with? And you get names on the ballot. Well, I won't give away all the details, but let's just say he survives that first attempt in a very interesting way. And then instead of learning his lesson, he just continues to be who he is. Now, I know I have said this through almost all, if not all, of the Quibi reviews that I've done, but this content seems like it was made exactly for me. I love politics. I love intrigue. I wanted to get into politics when I was really young, and I didn't, and I kind of regret it. Maybe, kind of. More on that later, I guess. But, I wanted to be this kid. I was one of the young and up-and-coming policymakers, and then I just walked away from it. And sometimes I ask myself why I did that. Sometimes I know exactly why I did. But again, the whole platform, that's not content that's necessarily going to appeal to tweens and teens. It seems like Quibi is directed at tweens and teens. The content seems to be made for an older crew. I am the perfect mix of that crew, but I am not your demographic, Quibi, so maybe we should look at that. But if you do like documentaries, especially if you like political documentaries, and if you like the intrigue of kinda small town politics, you are gonna like this. And honestly, you don't even really have to like politics or intrigue. The story of this kid is kinda crazy, and I think everyone will enjoy it. Roxy is not a huge politics fan. We watch CNN for the coronavirus porn, not for the politics. And in fact, she tunes out once the politics start. Even she, I think, would enjoy this particular show, just because the cast of characters is kind of crazy. It's a diet version of Tiger King without the tigers. Now, I can't say that I give this show an enthusiastic support. I wish I could. I know that if you are like me in so much as loving politics and stuff, you're gonna love it. But on my channel, I don't post only about politics because I know not everyone's built that way. I do post a lot of parody videos and vlogs, and you can find those on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/RobCheek. But I try to know the audience and whether or not you're gonna enjoy it. I do say this is a good show, and I think for certain people, they're going to enjoy it. But it's not going to be for everybody. Not everybody likes documentaries, and not everybody likes documentaries that are broken down into 10-minute segments. This is one of the few shows, I would say, that doesn't benefit from Quibi's breakdown. Having 10-minute increments did nothing to help me understand or follow. I would have preferred a regular hour-and-a-half long documentary. And I say that knowing that basically every week, Corey and I do an hour-long news show on the Oh the Anthem podcast. You can find that at anchor.fm/Oh the Anthem, youtube.com/Oh the Anthem, and ohtheanthem.com. But if you're into news and politics and world events, you'd like that, and you're probably going to like this show too. If you're not, you probably won't. But you should still check out the podcast because it's super funny in a way that the documentary is not. So I will say, if you think that those things apply to you, it's probably worth going and checking out. Is this the show that gets you to pay for Quibi if you weren't already paying for it? No, it's not. It's just not interesting enough, and it doesn't have a wide enough appeal, and it's not good enough, honestly, for me to say if you don't like politics and that kind of story, to go pay $4.99 even, and even for just 30 days. Because, Quibi doesn't have a contract. You can do it for 30 days and then break it, but it's not worth it even at that level. So if you already have Quibi, maybe it's worth checking out an episode or two and seeing if it's your thing. If not, check out the rest of the episodes I've been doing in this series and see if Quibi is right for you. And while you're on your mobile device, because Quibi's meant for mobile devices, make sure you come and find me on all your social media at Robert N. Cheek. And while you're doing it, go on over to robertncheek.com where you can find all the content that I produce, the books and the series and the videos and everything. And if you're looking for more from the Everyman Movie Review, the social links are going to be down in the show notes, along with a link to find Run This City on Quibi. So thank you guys for coming and checking out this episode of the Everyman Movie Review. I'll be back in just a couple of days with a new episode, but until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great week, everybody.